just had to wash the moths out of the jug. That might well show how long it's been since I've had a lovely homebrew. And before we tell a story. We don't want to get too much sediment in there, do we? Actually, we don't want to get any sediment in there. There we go. Cheers. How did we get where we are right now? Where we haven't been out for a ride on the bike for a few weeks, and the bike is in the garage in bits. Last year, before I came a cropper on my motorcycle at the racetrack, I was at the track and I made a question to a couple of people just about a noise, clicking sort of weird noise coming out of the drive unit, either from the drive shaft, Carc or gearbox. Couldn't really distinguish where it came from, but there was some conversation around what it might have been or blah blah blah. I got the Carc checked out. That's the rear main drive where the wheel attaches to, and that checked out fine, perfectly fine, good as gold. And the drive shaft, when I touched it and held it that time and gave it a twist and stuff, it felt fairly okay. I didn't pick anything up. I guess the problem was too is that I only really had one arm, and so getting a decent look at it was not that easy, and I didn't disassemble it at all. But anyway, went for a couple of rides after I got better again, and it seemed fine sometimes, and then other times the noise would be a little bit louder. And after the TT2000, that was the time when things really kind of like, I think when we finished this ride, because it was the main ride for the year, better get this checked out proper. So I thought, well, we'll pull this apart, because I asked the question of a shop, and it was going to cost some dollars to get it pulled apart by a shop and them to have a look at it for me. So I thought, oh well, I'll do that myself. We'll pull it apart, have a look, and get some bits serviced. Took the drive shaft off, and what did we find? That the union joint at the other end was well and truly knackered. And then on top of that, taking it all apart, and at the suspension joints, found that they were all shot as well. 177,000 Ks on the clock. And really the back end's never been pulled apart in that way, so it was really an opportune time to do it all. Unfortunately then, waiting on bits. So we finally got the drive shaft back after it getting checked out at the shop, them telling me that no, you'd have to get a new one, it's not really serviceable. I took it to a drive shaft place, Circle Track, and the guy there said, nah, we should be able to do something with that one. He did find a union, and he said it was very tricky because it wasn't actually for a Guzzi. It was more for a steering union for a truck. Now we're waiting on a boot to arrive from Australia, and I'm waiting on some seals to seal up the suspension linkages for the rear end, which are pretty critical really to stop the dust and stuff, water and so on getting into those bearings. And given what they looked like when they came out, they definitely don't want water and dust anywhere near them, So there we are. That's a little bit of the history behind where we are today, waiting while we enjoy the sunshine, at least, with a homebrew Australian ale. It's a Cooper's, and this one is bought from Pack and Safe supermarket chain in New Zealand. It's like cheap as, I think it was like $13-14 for the kit. You buy some dextrose sugar, you add that to it, put some yeast, ferment it a couple of weeks. I added some hops to it, didn't really add too much, and then throw it into a bottle, and there you go, you've got bottles of beer for less than $1. Cheers, y'all. Universal joints for the drive shaft, the top end. Up this end we've got good movement from that side, but when we go this way we're quite stiff there, so both directions, up and down or left and right. So right here we've got all the bits off the motorcycle. We're going to get the bearings replaced. This side of the swing arm bearing has seized on this side. The other side's not so bad. Our mission now is really to get this damn thing out, because I can't replace the bearing without taking this out. So because using heat and chisels and hammers really has not done anything as yet. So we're going to give it a shot. We've purchased ourselves a Dremel. Hopefully I haven't made too much of a hash of it. Oh, that sounded promising. That's the bearing housing. So we've got the second one we've got to get into. It's not easy. God damn. I don't know how long we're working on this thing. Only a couple more bangs or smashes. We are going to have this damn thing out. God damn. Oh, you don't know how happy I am just to have that drop out like that. Okay, person happy. This was bearing number 1 to come out. We cut through it, chipped a piece off the side of it, and now we've just got to put some new bearings into the swing arm. Disassemble this part here from the swing arm section before we mount the drive shaft. Well, that was much easier than the first time that I attempted to do that. Basically this Carc system is joined with the drive shaft will attach into the splines right there. There are 2 pins that line the drive up into the end of this. Let's just say that I'm going inside pretty damn happy. I'm going to grab this glass that I brought out. I was hoping to be finished a lot sooner than now. It's just after 9 o'clock at night. I think I started on this around about 7:30, and you know, when you spend a couple of hours doing something and all you've done is pull out a couple of bearings and that makes you happy. I'm not sure what that says about me. I'm insane, or that I'm easily pleased. So where we're at with the bike now, we've got the bearings out of, or that hold the swing up to the framework. You can see they're pretty crap, and we've got the other ones as well, varying, but pretty much you might as well say that they were all dry and all pretty much buggered. Exactly where are we at now? Well, to be honest, we've still got some ways to go. We've got to get this drive shaft that can go back into this hole. Hopefully we will get that very soon. Hopefully next week we'll get that picked up with the new union joint fitted into place. We look at the Griso down here and it is lacking because we have a universal joint problem. Yes, we do. So we've got all the bits all laid out, yes. Right, we've got to make some way for some seals. I don't have the new ones yet, but we've got a sample, which in effect actually is the same thickness as this marking on the socket. So we measured that with a caliper just to make sure, and that there's the same. We've got this part here, which is the linkage assembly for the suspension to the swing arm and to the wishbone. So we've got a single bearing to go in here and 2 bearings to go into each of these, and there would also be a seal on the outside. Bit of grease into the position of where we're going to put the 2 bearings with the initial bearing, so we'll put a bit of grease around that as well. Making sure it was square. Press in right there, square and still not right. There's not much give. And yeah, how much? There, and that gives enough room then to press in the seal. Next bearing. A little bit smoother than what they would if they were at normal room temperature. thing is the vise, the jaws are square, which would be somewhat devastating. You can see right there, we've got the bearings fitted. There's enough room on both sides to be able to fit the oil seal or grease seal. You know what? These bearing races, they haven't been a lot of fun to put in either. Trying to get them to line up and then bash them in or press them in. I don't have a vise that can get down here or anything to press them in proper, so it's just been trying to square them up and get them in far enough. So hopefully we're in far enough and we can fit the swing arm as a practice fit tomorrow afternoon, and that will give us a good idea if we've got this thing right. We're sitting out front of South Island Bearing Supplies in Christchurch, and we've just picked up, very happily, we've picked up the 18 by 24 by seals, and they're the ones that are going to go into the suspension. Stoked to have finally got the phone call for them today. I was just waiting on a boot for it's coming in East Australia, and then we should be hunky-dory to get back onto this motorcycle and get up for Moto Guzzi.